What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Little Scale Cars YouTube channel. Today in the review box we have the Ferrari GTC4Lusso. This one is from Centauria models. So is this one going to be worth adding to your collection? Sometimes these Centauria models are a little bit hard to find, so let's see if this one is any good and worth tracking down. So as always, let's get things started by looking at our casting here. And proportionally speaking, I am happy to report that it's pretty good, like solid. Looks like a GT4Lusso should, and there's nothing that's been kind of done wrong, I don't even say. So let's go ahead and break the casting down here now while we're at it. So everything that you're going to see here is pretty much going to be a die-cast piece. The roof this time is die-cast metal, which is very good and something I couldn't say for the last two Centaurias that I have reviewed. So yeah, very solid there. We do have a lot of plastic though. The base is obviously going to be plastic. That's something that's going to extend to all Centaurias, but it's actually going to extend all the way up into here to this entire like diffuser section. So yeah, a good decent chunk of plastic. And then the mirrors are going to be plastic, obviously, but other than that, this is actually a pretty sizable chunk of die-cast, considering what we typically get with the Centauria releases. So, pretty good. When it comes to your body lines, you're all pretty much going to be replicated perfectly. There's no real complaints, like these little vents are worked in, rear section looks great. Kind of an odd looking car, but I think they nailed it, and yeah, no real complaints there. One thing I should definitely mention, and we're gonna get into why this is kind of a weird thing, there's only one rivet. So there's a rivet up front that holds the entire thing together, and it's right there. And this was just to hold it to the stand that it comes on. None of that is like holding the car together, basically. There's nothing else, and we'll kind of get into why that might be a problem here in a bit. So for the paint and deco, you get this kind of just enamel blue, kind of a dark navy blue, nothing really crazy going on here. And then you get this like grayish black section on the roof. Not really a whole lot else to say. You get a nice tan interior. The whole interior isn't tan though, because like the dashboard is kind of a black gray, and then it's the seats and everything that are tan to kind of look like leather, I would suppose. But yeah, Centauria has still only done one deco per model, so as of right now, this is the only choice, and I feel like it was maybe an odd choice. So moving into our details though, and that is where the model thankfully shines quite nicely. So the front grille section here, beautifully detailed. There's meshing, there's the actual grille that's been painted in quite nicely. Ferrari logo right up front, looking great. We do have plastic inserts for the headlights, which I think look phenomenal. Making your way down the sides, we once again get a Ferrari badge here. You get good, accurate looking wheels. There is a brake caliper and the disc back there, so those look quite good. The tire on mine, you can see, is not quite sitting perfectly on the rim. With a little heat, you can fix that very easily, though I've just been too lazy to actually do so. You do get a little bit of silver paint there on the mirror to give it that reflective surface. Moving into the rear, we do have our plastic taillights, which look quite good. Ferrari badging here, the rear brake light thing. Exhaust has been painted, and then there's the reflectors as well as the license plate. So detailing is pretty solid overall. However, as you can see here from the side, the interior is kind of poking through the wheel wells, which is not creating the best of looks, and it actually creates a couple other problems, but that's all down to the fact that there's no rivet in the back. So up front, there's just nothing kind of it's all being held up front, so you can see how much I'm moving that. Like, it's just a little bit weird there. So moving into our roll test, most Centaurias roll pretty nicely, but this one does not. And that is all down to what I said earlier. That interior piece is literally falling out and rubbing into the wheels, which is making them rub so they cannot roll as nicely as it should be able to. And that's all due to the fact that there's no rivet back here. There's nothing that holds that interior in, so it's just kind of falling out. And that is not good, in my opinion. That is a big mistake in the engineering of this casting, and I'm really not sure how that kind of went approved. Like, there should have been glue or something holding that piece together. And if this was like Phillips head screws or flathead screws or something, I could easily get in there and fix it myself. But it's a very small rivet. So without drilling this thing open, there's really not a good way of fixing it yourself. Putting it on the scale, it does come out to be 35.25 grams. So as far as a Centauria model goes, it is a little heavier than most, which is a good thing in my opinion. For the pros and cons, the biggest pro is going to be this is the cheapest way to get a GTC4Lusso into your collection. Now, that's probably a good thing for a lot of you because this is probably not the kind of car a lot of you are going to want to spend like a high dollar number on. So this is going to be the cheapest way to get it into your collection in 1/64th scale. The other big pro is going to be the details. I think the detailing is quite good, especially that rear section right there and that front section right there. I think that looks pretty solid. So the cons, though, one we have already talked about pretty extensively there, and that's just the poor engineering of the casting as a whole with the lack of riveting and stuff like that. Since we've already harped on that a little bit more, I'll also talk about the QC. That's definitely becoming a trend here for the Centauria models. But, yeah, on this particular one, like I mentioned, my wheels are a little bit, not my wheels, my tires don't sit quite right. I can fix that with heat, but, again, not really something I should have to do. But yeah, just something to look out for. For some quick size comparisons, here we have it with some budget-friendly Ferraris that you might have, with the Hot Wheels Ferrari FF over there on the left, and the Barago Ferrari 812 Competizione over here on your right. And for some comparison to more premium models, here we have it next to the funny model Ferrari Persongway and the Kyosho Ferrari California T. Alright, so let's get an overall analysis here. Does this one live up to its hype? Decently, I would say. If you knew that this was coming, you were probably excited for it, and you probably are decently okay with what you got. For the value, it's a $20 car. You know, it costs about 15, 16 bucks, and then to ship it here is going to run you about 20 bucks. And I don't really know if it lives up to that price. There's just a few too many issues with this one for me to say it really warrants that price tag. The feedback on this has actually been decent. Quality control, again, seems to be biting people, but it's kind of what you're coming to expect at this point. But the interior bits have been bothering people. And then I've seen a lot of people who just have a whole course of other issues. But on the whole, most people are still pretty happy with it. It's a pretty decent enough example of a GTC4Lusso. Again, not a car that a lot of people are really going to be going crazy over, and they're going to like think that that's the most hyped model of the year anyway. Only one deco, and it being kind of this dark blue is a little bit of a bummer. Centauria, I really hope, goes back and kind of redoes some of these castings in more decos. That would be really cool if they would do that. The interior, like, falling out and the one rivet holding everything together was truly an engineering mistake for this release. And I think it's kind of a big mistake, in all honesty, because it ruins a lot of what would otherwise be very cool things going on here. So, do I recommend this one? No. There are too many non-licensed brands that have done this brand, or done this car. I think there's 2 different ones, and both of those are, like, beautiful models. They come in red and a few other colors, I'm pretty sure. So unless you really want this blue deco, I don't recommend this one. If you do want this blue deco, sure, go ahead and get it, because it will still look good, especially from a distance on your shelf. And that is all I have for this review, guys. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you leave a like, subscribe if you are new, and don't forget to comment on this one, telling me your thoughts on this particular model, and I will see you guys in the next video.